All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Bar. I'm your host, Devon Grogans, with co-host none other than the Tommy John. We got a fun one for you guys today since it is in full swing, which is prep season. We're just going to cover some of the guys that we have competing and gals. Some of the shows that are coming up. We'll talk a little bit about our strategies. We don't always talk X's and O's, but this episode we will, and then we will take it outside and talk about some of the, I guess you could say prep or even just hacks in general that help with overall adherence, whether it's money saving tips, whether it's stuff just to make it easier to get you by, whether you're in prep, whether you're in a diet bulking phase, whatever the case may be. Just a couple of hacks that we use that could be helpful. So without further ado, Tommy, I know you got a couple of guys coming up. Why don't you talk about them and share a little bit? Because one of them has made some huge progress, not only from where he first started, but even just from the last time you guys were on stage to where he's about to be next week.
Yeah, man, for sure. We can start with Tim.
Okay.
Let me see. Tim just competed yesterday, so he did
Oh,
really
nice.
well. Let's see.
And then you should,
If you want to pull it up on your screen, I don't know. I think I can
yeah,
share mine.
you should be able to.
Let's see.
Might have to request, but I should be able to give you host or co-host. Let me see. I think I gotta go here and then make host. There we go. Now
Got
you
it.
should.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Now you should be able to share.
Okay. Let's do entire. Yeah, that's fine. We'll do. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this here.
Yep, it's pulling up. There
Okay,
we go.
cool.
Oh yeah.
So here is this was cool. This was like our 2 day peak.
Hmm.
So I always starting 2, 3 days out, I do um every 2 hour check-in. So I'm prescribing their every single meal.
Right.
Um
I'm
so
very
yeah,
similar
this
in that.
this turned out really cool. Because the weight difference is like 8 ounces here.
Hmm.
Um, and he's so much drier and fuller
Drier.
and
Yeah.
harder, and, like, literally the weight difference is, extremely minimal. So he did really well. He took 1st in, his novice class, and then it was 2nd in masters, and then 3rd in open, and,
Right.
man, this is only the 2nd show he's
I
ever
was gonna say,
done.
yeah.
So
That's a good amount of hardware to take home for your second show.
yeah, and the thing is, Devin, and I laughed with Tim about this because, he was kind of disappointed, and we all are when we don't win first, right?
Hmm.
It's like we're all kind of disappointed with that. But the thing is, he lost to the same guy that he lost to 4 or 5 weeks ago. So it's like, I wouldn't be so disappointed about that because, um, like, that dude woulda had to really screw up, and
Hmm.
you came in a lot better. That dude just came in the same. And so you probably closed the gap a little bit, but, you know, just not enough this time, and that's okay 'cause, that guy's a seasoned competitor that he lost to, so and I told him, I'm like, "Man, I go to shows and I'm competing against people like Austin Stout and all these,
Right.
really great bodybuilders,
Yes.
and
You never
you
know
don't
who's
get
gonna
to
show up.
pick, dude." Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, how many times did, Ken tell you he would show up and compete against Phil Heath? Um, so here is, another guy. This is Dylan here. Dylan's 10 weeks out. Um, so he's looking awesome.
Oh yeah.
Very excited for his showing. Dude, he's still like, yeah, just over 220 here. Um, and we got 10 weeks. So lots of time with him. Um, I'm prepping his dad too. I don't have
Oh,
photos
nice.
or permission of his from his dad right now, but yeah, if I get permission from them. I'm sure he wouldn't care, but just out of
Yeah.
privacy, I'm
Well, it's one
not gonna
thing,
pull him
you and
up.
I are talking, but we're throwing it out on YouTube for the world to see. So
Yeah, right on, right on. Um, and it just like for you guys, this is a really cool uh profile to follow because he
yeah,
does post all of his. Yeah,
he added me a couple weeks back, and I've been really enjoying a lot of his content and just watching his prep progress.
yeah, he puts a lot of good training content out, and he's starting to put more and more stuff out. So, very entertaining profile to follow, and yeah, just an overall good dude. Um, so that's Dylan there. Um,
And when is you said he's 2 weeks out?
he's 10.
10. Okay,
Yeah,
so he
he's
does.
10. So we got a good amount of time. To really hone things in. So this is Mel. Mel is just 3 weeks out now. Um, Dude, he got like terribly sick for like multiple weeks. I'm talking like 3 weeks where his body just like started reversing in a really wrong direction.
Oh
Um,
no.
and we, dude, yeah, we were both like, looking at each other like, I don't know, man. What do you think? And so yeah, we're gonna dig in and just keep doing this thing. So he's coming back alive. Um, yeah, literally, it was to the point where I don't know if concerned is the right word, but I'm like, man, this thing's like just falling off the
Yeah.
tracks, and it was as a coach, you just man, it pains you to see that,
Hmm.
because you're like, "Man, these guys are putting in so much effort and time and all these things," and then you get something like this. He had this weird, sinus, like, infection where, man, he was getting dizzy spells and, like, because it
Ooh,
was pressing on something,
yeah,
and
I've had that.
causing, like, balance issues and, just lots of stress and obviously then when you start stressing about it and things like that um that makes the whole situation far worse as well, right?
Hmm.
um so a lot of you guys are familiar with Ray at this point.
Yeah.
um
Yeah,
this
start
is
there
just yeah,
because
this is just
I never knew
exciting.
that.
Oh, you didn't?
No, not until he
Okay.
posted that.
Yeah, because most people don't. They just look at him like a seasoned guy that's been, on this and living this life for like years and years and years. And it's like, and I'm not making light of the time that he's put in, but man, like, just a huge, huge success story here.
Yeah, he looks great. I mean, obviously, and for only being 2 weeks in, or 2 weeks, 2 years in, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously there's areas that can still be brought up, but to make that sort of jump and be competitive in a 2 year time span is phenomenal.
yeah. And, just like, yeah, the physical, like, um, changes are dramatic, but man, like if you just the kid has just grown so much, like
Mhm.
mentally and like spiritually, just as a person, um, over 2 years. Like, it's absolutely wild. You can see, his last show here, man, we're 6 weeks ahead of that.
Oh yeah.
It's just um very, very exciting stuff. Just pure passion from him. Um, and that's all that's required, and yeah, just I can't say enough good things about him. Just
Well,
very exciting.
I think you bring up a really good point, and this is something that I was wanting to talk to you about today, as well, because it was something that got brought up with one of my clients. And I think a lot of times when, whether you're a competitive client or whether you are a lifestyle client, I think a lot of people don't truly understand the value of a coach versus a trainer.
Yeah,
A trainer is going to give you your plan. They're going to take you through your workout. They're probably going to push you while you're in the gym, and then you likely won't hear from them throughout the rest of the week or until the next time you see them.
Yeah.
Whereas a coach, and I know you're very similar to how I operate, same with, any actual true coach, is going to help you so far beyond just the stage. They're going to help with your mentality, with your,
Yeah.
obviously physical, but more so mental, spiritual, whether that, whatever you believe in, regardless, but just tying
Mhm.
everything together. They're the people that when stuff comes up, I'm sure you get it a lot. Your clients are coming to you and say, hey, this is happening. A trainer's not gonna, like, yeah, you're gonna have that therapy session while you're working them out,
Right.
but a coach is the one that's going to say, okay, I understand all these things are going on, and you can empathize with them, but then you also have to bring them kind of back to reality in the sense that the world is still turning. Let's focus on what we can do and what
Yeah.
we have the ability to control, and let's focus on those variables. And a lot of times it's how we do it as coaches, or how you do it as a coach, that
Yeah.
makes the impact that you make. um it's so much more than the sport, and that is really the biggest benefit. I mean, even if you can coach yourself, that's great. I mean, look at, again, we bring up Skip a lot, but look at Skip.
Yep.
He'd been doing it himself for 30 plus years,
Yeah.
and is arguably in one of the best positions he's ever been in now, that he brought on Justin Harris.
Yeah.
And simply for the fact that, it removes him from having to think about any of his own stuff. Like,
Yeah.
he just puts it on Justin for the most part, or you put it on your coach for the most part. Your coach says, hey, just execute ABC, and then you can go focus on everything else and
Yeah.
just take care of the X's and O's as you go forward. When something comes up, hey, my dog died, or this happened, and you have somebody to confide in, but at the same time they're still nudging you, like, okay,
Mhm.
I get that happened. What can we do?
Yeah.
What can we control, and how do we go about doing that? So it's
Yeah.
somebody that
Yeah.
just is constantly pushing you in the areas that you need. And I think that is really the biggest difference between a trainer and a coach. What are your thoughts on kind of the differentiating factors of that?
Yeah, man. Like, first off, I agree, with everything you said. And I don't know if you've talked to Skip lately, but and I don't want to share too much of, what him and I talk about, but essentially the last time I talked to him was he just said it's just so much different.
Hmm.
Um, just having someone else making the decisions and everything like that.
Yeah.
um so yeah, him and I talked a lot about it, and that was essentially what it boiled down to. Is he just said it's easier.
Yeah.
He said it's easier, with a lot of other nuances,
Yeah.
but like I said, I don't want to share his stuff. But um yeah, no, it's like, why do you think you and I have used coaches for so long,
Hmm.
right? You don't think we can do our own stuff? Everyone asks me. They're like, "Why don't you do your own coaching?" And why? Why would I? Why would I? You know what I mean? And at the same time, what kind of hypocritical thing is that of me to ask someone to hire me, ask them to pay me money, but then I'm not willing to go hire someone and pay money, right?
Right.
Um, so who am I to say that people should have a coach when I don't even have one, right?
Hmm.
Let's say you sell a product, right? We do, right? We sell a service, we sell coaching. So let's say, Devin, you sell a product, and my first question to you was, let's say you sell the appliances.
Well, we'll
And
make it easy. I sell supplement. I run. Most people don't know, but I have a supplement company.
Yeah. And so my first question to you would be, do you use them?
Absolutely.
Right? You know, it, okay, here we are offering coaching. You're selling your supplements. Um, do you guys have a coach? Well, yeah. Okay, good. That makes sense, because now I know that you actually believe in having a coach.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're offering it, but you don't even have one yourself. So I don't know. It just that's how I look at things like that.
Yeah.
You
Oh, I
know,
agree. And I mean, it reduces decision fatigue, which is an actual thing. Like, you look at a lot of high level high functioning people, entrepreneurs, what have you. And a lot of times it's you see them wear the same thing every single day, and they do that intentionally. It's not because they like wearing the same, it's because it is one less decision that they
Yeah,
have to make throughout the
yeah,
day. If their
yeah,
wardrobe is all white t-shirts and khaki pants, then they know when they wake up it's grab a shirt and grab pants. It's not, well, do I want this shirt with these pants and those shoes? And it doesn't seem like much, but you're making thousands of decisions
yeah.
every single day. And so to
It's like
reduce that,
it's
it
like
just makes things,
Alex Hermosi, right?
yeah.
I guess Chase just went to Vegas and met him and like, went through his one of his classes and stuff.
Oh, really? I saw he was
Yeah,
reading all his books. I had a good
yeah.
conversation with him about some of those because I just finished reading the third one not too long ago.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So yeah, he went out to Vegas and got to meet him and everything. So that was cool. But yeah, no, right on. That's exactly how I feel about that is just um there's a big difference between someone that just sends you a diet plan and someone that does what we do.
Hmm.
Um and sometimes it's a lot as a coach to maintain all those relationships. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Wow.
But yeah, sometimes it's a lot of effort on our end, making sure everyone is good, right?
Yep.
And being able to have the gift to know when someone isn't,
Yep.
even if they don't tell you, because ultimately, um, it's going to be a detriment to their progress, and that's a detriment to our business and ability to advertise them
Yep.
technically, right? Um,
No, I agree. And it's funny because I mean, it's funny because part of the job and a lot of what I do the last couple of weeks leading into a show, and it's more so with my female clients, but it still happens with the guys, is just mitigating stress. Like
yeah,
they're in that robotic mode where everything is just chugging along, but then whether they get in their head because they think that they're not lean enough or they feel like they should be, you start increasing food, and they're like, well, I even had a client today where he was starting to go hypo post workout. So I added like 50 grams of I added 100 grams of carbs and split them 50 pre, 50 post. And
right,
he even told me, he's like, I was getting through this meal and I was thinking, man, this is a lot of food, and almost didn't eat it all. But then he said, I know that, you gave it to me for a reason. And I
right,
said, and so we just had the conversation on, like, look, your body's ripping through food. You need this. If anything, you're probably going to lose more weight because of it. Um, and it's just mitigating that stress more often than not, and that, knowing, like you said, knowing when to do that, knowing how to do that, because each client's different. Some clients you kind of have to put your thumb on them a little bit more and give them that hey, whereas other ones you got to be a little bit more easy about it, otherwise they feel like you're going after them and they shut down. So it's really learning that client and to bring it all back, especially to Ray. Like, this 2 year progress is amazing, but I think
yeah,
even just as amazing, I shouldn't say more so, but just as amazing is what you guys have been able to accomplish from the last time he stepped on stage to where he's at now.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, and that's a good point with different bringing up adversity with different clients and them handling it different, um, especially with guys. That are like maybe it's your first week working with them or,
Hmm.
something along those lines. I had one guy recently, I sent him his diet and he's like, I can't do that. And I said, well, it's been 15 minutes and you haven't tried it. So I said, what do you mean you can't do it? Well, that's X amount of calories. And on my diet plans, Devin, I don't write calories or anything. So
Same.
I said, you just spent all that time calculating that food when you could have been just cooking it and getting ready for the next day. So now you're wasting my time, And I'm not always patient and kind with everyone. I try to be, but when it comes off like that, you know, I can't do this. I can't do
Yeah.
this. It's like, listen, two things. One, why did you hire me?
Hmm.
And if you know so much, go do it yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean
Well, and I
that
think
I mean
some
that
clients
completely
require that.
yeah, and I mean that completely in the most respectful way possible. Um, but he's in our Chase Irons Discord,
Hmm.
and he can see, I coach over 40 people in there,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are sharing their stuff and their progress and, praise of my coaching and things like that. And, this is not me being on my high horse or anything, but um it's like, well, all those guys are just following the plan. So what makes you so special that you know that I send you the plan and all of a sudden you don't even try and you just have all these questions about it? It's like, let's get 1 weekend first and then we
Yeah.
can talk.
Oh yeah.
And then within 4 days, he's like, "Oh, my workouts are so good," and blah blah blah, and I'm
Shocking.
starving, and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you're just starving yourself for so long, and you didn't have to, right?" Um, and a lot of the times, like, I don't know how you are about this, but you're probably nicer than me. But a lot of the times, I won't explain things in great depth right away, um, because hey, why are we doing this? Well, let's just do it first,
Hmm.
and then I'll tell you. But when I
Yeah.
see that you're already standoffish and you're not even going to try it, I have no desire to explain it to you because it feels like you don't care anyways. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yes, there's a reason for literally every single thing I do and prescribe, and I know the reason for it. Because I know some coaches are like, yeah, if your coach doesn't answer all your questions, then they probably don't know what they're doing. It's like, I don't know about that because there's a lot of questions I don't answer for people right away. But
Yeah.
the
And I'll
but
do
then
this.
a
I'll
couple days later, like, "Hey, see why we did that?" And
Yeah.
kinda wink at them, like,
Well, I think it's a good learning experience too for somebody because it's like, yeah, I could tell you why we're doing all this, or you can firsthand experience. And it also, when you leave a little bit out, um, it doesn't really set the stage for them to, I guess, trying to think of how to word this, how to shift their actions to receive
yeah,
that result. And what I mean by that is like you're working with, and this was a perfect example I actually heard earlier on a podcast today, was they were talking about adherence with different coaches. And they said if you go to somebody like they actually used AJ as an
yeah,
example. They were like
yeah,
AJ is known for getting people inside out peeled.
yeah,
And they said, we don't take away from the fact that he knows what he's doing, but is there a little part of the clients that he gets that are going to him knowing that he turns clients inside out as far as getting peeled, that they're almost willing to do every single thing he says so
it's
they can get
interesting.
that look. So if you
Yeah,
tell somebody, I'm doing this because of XYZ, it kind of sets the tone for that expectation. Whereas, which isn't a bad thing, but if you say, "Hey, I just need you to follow this plan and then follow it for a week and then I'll happily tell you why we did it." Then
yeah.
they don't know what to expect, and then when they see it happen, they're like, "Oh, that's why we did it."
And to be fair, like, not everyone is like you and I. We're quite robotic. We don't really maybe we don't question enough, right? Um, but Devin AJ sends me a plan and I just do it. Like,
Yeah.
even if there is a question about something, I'm like, let's just see, right?
Um,
And like a lot of times it's like, he wants specific brands of
mhm,
certain ingredients and things like that. And man, I will go find that brand. I'll go to 7, 8, 12, 15 grocery stores. I don't give a shit, dude. Like, if it's on my plan, I'm gonna figure out a way to do it.
mhm.
And not everyone's like that, and I don't expect everyone to be like that, um, but I am. And you know, if someone can at least put in a certain amount of effort. Listen, we put in a lot of effort in designing these plans, and I just can't want. people to get results more than they want to get the results. And,
Exact.
you
That
know,
is the key right there, is you cannot want it more than your client, whether it's competitive or whether it's lifestyle. And I've told people that. I have a client right now where, I mean, we're going on and off of probably a year and a half, almost 2 years. And just recently, like, we had blood work done, everything came back good. So I'm like, okay, I think I have him at, I mean, it's got to be, and it's one of those things where I intentionally pulled out more food than I normally would,
yeah,
and we're down maybe a half pound. Cardio's at almost 60 minutes, 5 days a week, and the calories had to have been dropped close to 1400
sure.
over this last week, and we lost a half pound. I'm like, I know, I know that when you are doing 60 minutes of cardio 6 days a week or even 5 days
6-0.
a week,
Yeah,
and you,
6D.
yeah, and I rip 400, 500 calories out of your diet, we should see more than a half pound drop.
Yeah,
So that tells me that something's not being followed. So now we get to have the conversation of, I can't want this more than you,
yeah,
and I don't want to just continue to take money for a service that is not being adhered to,
yeah,
because at the end of the
yeah.
day, I end up the bad guy. Oh, his plan didn't work. I was, I did this, and
Not only that, someone out there wants your service, and that person's wasting a spot.
yep,
They're literally wasting a spot that someone else is just dying to work with you. And, this person is just taking up a spot. Um, there was a guy just recently, his blood glucose was trending upwards, and there was no real reason for it to be happening. So I was kind of confused for a second. And
mm-hmm,
then I find out that, he was doing like 6 days at 45 minutes of cardio. His heart rate was only like 105, 108 beats per minute during the cardio. And like, I want my guys at 120 or
120,
130 the
yeah,
entire time. The
yep.
entire time. So the
Your
time,
time starts when your time starts when
yes,
your heart
sir.
rate hits 120.
Correct. Yes. Yep. You and I know that rule. Um, and within days, he goes, "Well, I just can't get my heart rate that high." I said, "Oh, no, you can. You just have to make it happen. I
Yep,
promise your heart will do it. You just have to do the work that is required." And sure enough, dude, within days, and he was a trooper about it. I wasn't mad at him, but
yep,
within days, he started doing that proper cardio. Dude, he lost like 4 pounds. His
yep.
blood glucose dropped 20 points. His fasted
Wow.
yeah, he went from like, 105 to like 85. It was like
Hmm.
significant, dude. And I'm like, man, like that's real cardio. Like
Yep,
that's true actual cardio. And hey, maybe we don't need to do 45 minutes anymore. Maybe we can cut it down to 30 or even 25 for 5 days a week now that you're doing true, proper, actual cardio. Because, man, maybe I had you at 6 by 45 because you're kind of dog and ass, It's like,
yep,
um, but yeah, but he recognized it. He corrected it. And that's all we can ask of people. It's just like, oh, hey, maybe I am, but now it was a great learning experience for me because now I can look at my other guys and be like, let me see like some Aura Ring data or Apple Watch
yeah.
data from that cardio, and sure enough, I've seen a few other guys who just are not getting into um, that real proper heart rate, and it's extremely important. Yeah, it is
Hmm.
for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah, I had one client. He's a newer client. And we've been figuring things out. I mean, he's made tremendous progress, and I can't wait. He's about 5 weeks out. I think we're gonna cut it a little close, but he's at about 8 weeks. He finally, like, it clicked for him, because he was a big, like, if it fits your macros guy, and
Yeah.
so, sending him his plan, I was kind of just like, hey, what, share your meals with me. What is it that you're eating? And he gives me a ton. He's on spot with every, like, his check-ins, all of his
Sure.
data. he gives me a spreadsheet of all, this is how much protein on
Yeah.
this day,
Mhm.
so all that's good. But I'm looking at it and it's just like his protein's kind of doing this, and his
Yeah.
carbs are, kind of doing this, and his fats are
Yeah.
pretty even. So I'm like, what are you doing for your meals? And one meal was like quarter cup cottage cheese and a quarter cup Greek yogurt and a half scoop protein and just like all these different things.
Just
And I'm like,
weird stuff.
yeah. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
okay. Any other time, I'm completely fine with that. What we need to do right now is just pick whole foods that are a protein source, a fat source, and a carbohydrate source.
No
And we
keto
need to
bread?
just, what's that?
No keto bread?
Yeah, yeah, none of the X, just keep it
Yeah,
very, very simple. And
exactly.
as soon
Yeah.
as he did that, 2.5
Instantly.
pounds a week, 3 pounds a week. Then
Yeah.
then came the cardio conundrum because at first it was just steps, get 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
And to your point, not all steps are created equal. So then I said,
Sure.
hey, let's start doing 30 minutes of true cardio, heart rate minimum 120, try to max out no more than 135.
Yep.
And then, whatever difference you have, make sure you're still hitting your 10,000 steps. Well, he kind of just took that as I just need to hit my 10,000 steps. So we're still kind of plugging along. I'm like, hey, what are you doing for cardio? Well, I did a 15-minute walk on my treadmill, and then I just kind of
Mhm.
made sure I got my steps in the rest of the day. And I'm like, I need you to do 30 to 4. Well, at this point now, it got pushed up to 45. I need you to do 45 minutes on your treadmill or whatever it is
Yeah.
that you're doing that keeps your heart rate. Oh, and then sure enough, 2.5 pounds, 2.5
Yeah.
pounds, 3 pounds.
Yeah.
And so
And
now we're kind of back on track, but it clicked for him and he's like,
yep.
oh, he sends me a message. He goes, so we're kind of like tuning a race car and you need all of these specific. And I said, yes, that's exactly what we're doing. We are tuning a race car and I need to be able to adjust
Yeah.
these 4 or 5 variables, not 30
Yep.
different little knobs that we're turning.
Yep. And to be fair, our good friend Skip would tell us it was our fault. He
Yeah.
would say, "You guys were not specific enough. You were not detailed enough in delivering exactly what you wanted from that client. It's not their fault." And
No,
sometimes it
not at all. And I
is.
wasn't mad at him. I
No.
said, yes, now that you get it, this is what we're trying to do. So moving. So now when we just
Yes.
had to up his cardio again, I said, I
Yep.
need you to do 60 minutes of cardio
Yes.
from the treadmill with your heart rate at 120 to 130. And then whatever difference, because now we're up to, I think, 14,000 steps. You need to move enough to hit that 14,000 goal after you have done your 60 minutes of true cardio.
Yeah, it's one of the best things I learned from Skip is, if you were not clear, it's your fault as the
Yep.
coach. It's your fault, and it's like, yeah, I get it. I get it. And there's times that we are clear and it still gets neglected, of course, but it's and AJ says the same thing. And I don't know how you feel about this, but um, I'm starting to switch everyone to prescribed foods.
Mhm.
Moving forward, everyone will be eating the exact gram of food that I tell them to.
So what
Um,
I do is I'm not far off is I give them a macro. I still give them macro plans and then underneath their macros
Suggestions.
for that meal, I will say, "Yep, here are 2 meal suggestions."
Yep.
And I'll say, you can swap a protein or a carb, but ideally these are what I would like you to eat. And that's been working really well because I have some people that are like us that can say, okay, I know I have X amount of turkey, but I want to swap it with, chicken, and so I can make that swap.
Yep. Those are
Whereas,
the only things I'm going to allow
yeah,
flexible. It's going to be the meal two is chicken or turkey
or
or
yep,
fish, right? And that's it. I'm not flexing with anything else. And I'm going to lose people over this, but it doesn't bother me because the people say, "Why does AJ get people in the best shape?" And we've heard it a million times. How does AJ get people inside out? Is there some crazy protocol or what's he doing? He's doing all the little stuff that people
yeah,
aren't tracking. He
yep,
knows how much salt is on every single one of my meals. He knows how much exact fluid I'm taking in each meal. He
yep,
knows literally he Devin, he knows what time I take a piss. If he needs to know, he will know.
yeah,
Um, he literally knows every single variable, and that stuff doesn't matter when you're first starting out, I don't think,
No,
get the
not as much.
90%, right? Nail the 90%, 100%, right?
Hammer and
Get
chisel.
yeah, get the big stuff, situated.
Hmm.
And then the finer tuning details come in. But that's where that crazy condition comes from, is because everything is measured, calculated, and accounted for.
Hmm.
And it's extremely time consuming as a coach. Like for example, Um, Tim and I spoke over the last 3 days more than he talked to his wife, I'm sure. More than I talked to my wife over the last 3 days. He was my focus and priority over the last 3 days. Every single meal, I wanted to know when he was peeing, what the pee was like. Just things that other coaches don't. I don't want to say don't care, but they're not taking into consideration.
Yep. And
You
that was
know.
one thing that I got really big into. I would say probably this last season for
Hmm.
prep with a lot of my clients is even just this is how much salt I want you to put on each meal. This is how much fluid I want you to have by the end of the day, but you need to have X amount by, noon type of thing.
Yes.
Um, and it's made a world of difference for all of them.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And, then there's no question of,
Yep.
hey, you get 50 carbs this meal, and then go to find out they got them all from, cream of rice, and you didn't necessarily, you wanted something more satiating because it was before bed. So then some guy eats, a simple carb, 50 grams worth of more simple like carbs before bed, and then he's wondering why he's pissing every 5 minutes,
Yep.
in the middle, because he's having that glucose dump and things like
Yep.
that. And like, hey, Tommy, I don't know why I'm waking up to pee 6 times a night. Well, oh, I didn't even realize you were eating rice checks for your last
Hmm.
meal, or with whey protein, and it just goes right through you.
Just burns right through them.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I mean, that covers a lot of my clients. That I got Austin. He's like 12 weeks out. He looks really good. He doesn't post anything on Instagram, so I won't share his stuff. I'm actually coaching his girlfriend as well. She's
Oh,
doing
nice.
the same show or same timeline.
Hmm.
She looks incredible. Her name's Stacy. She looks insane. It's so much fun to prep her. Um, her her body changes literally weekly. I've
That's
been
always
only
fun.
working with her for a few weeks, and I'm like, man, you're a freak. I mean that in the most respectful
Yeah.
way, but you're just a freak. Some people just like they're different than me.
Yeah.
Just like wow. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Those are
yeah,
always
it's
fun people to work with.
so much fun. It's like you saw my guy Dave,
Hmm.
Dave Wyland. I posted it the other day, his 230 versus 230. Um, and like literally he came to me, and we prepped him for a show. We got him down, I don't know, it was in the 160s.
Wow.
And now he's 230 and he still has abs, and like his low back is still dry. And
Jeez.
let me see if I can
Yeah, here, let me kick it back
go
over for
ahead.
you to share.
Yeah.
And then after we'll touch on let me shut it down. Let me there we go.
Okay, I'll show you this last one.
Yeah, no worries.
There's a ton of other guys that I would like to show, but
And while
well,
you're pulling that up, we had chatted offline last time about doing um like a rate my physique style thing, but with people's schedules, because we were talking about, just getting it
oh
done.
yeah.
So I think it would be really cool for all the viewers out there. We want to do a rate my schedule. So either DM us or put it in the comments below on what time you train, and what you have going on in terms of a synopsis. And I think it'd be really fun to get 3 or 4 or 5 people on just, how busy your day is, just to show people that you don't necessarily nobody has the time to find, you have to create it. So let us
Yeah.
know what your schedule looks like, and when you train. And it'd be nice too if you give us just a brief kind of blurb on what or why you choose to train at the time you do. And I think that'd be
Yeah.
really cool. And then we'll rate them and we'll do something cool. Maybe I'll do this. So I will give a free tub of pre-workout, um, amino acids, or we'll go pre. I have two pre's and an amino through my company, G-Force, a stem and a non-stem, and some EAAs. So we'll take the top two winners that we select, and you can get your choice of product. I'll ship it out to you.
Yeah, I will. I'll provide you guys with a peptide of choice. I'm not going to say the website on here just in case Devin and I do get famous, and I don't want to
Yeah,
turn that down. But you guys can find the said website on my Instagram profile, Tommy John Coaching. I'll give you a free product from there. I'll pay for that and have it shipped to you guys as well. So. You can
awesome.
choose either the Retta, we got BPC, all sorts of good stuff. So whatever you guys are looking for, that's what I will contribute to the winner as well. So
I love it.
all right, let's see. I'll just show you this one quick because I think
Yeah.
it's so cool.
Oh
Yeah, so
wow.
yeah, dude,
Oh
and
wow.
he's still he was like 220 here. He's 230 now in the same condition.
That's
Um,
crazy.
Yeah, this was like 15 days ago. He just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's like, man, at one point by November, December, he's gonna be 100 pounds over this
Yeah.
and not far from condition.
No.
It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And he is so completely robotic about his plan
Mhm.
and um he has never missed anything. Like there was one or 2 weeks, I've worked with him for over a year now. There was 1 or 2 weeks where he was just sick and he's like, "Hey, I'm not feeling great. I don't think I'm gonna train." I said, "Good." He's like, "What should I eat?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever you want." He's like, "All
Yeah,
right, cool."
whatever.
And like I knew I can say that to him because I know he's not gonna go get like
Yeah.
15 pizzas. Like he probably just stayed on plan, just a few less meals.
Yeah, and a little bit
Um,
more of whatever food he's already eating.
yeah. And the cool thing and what I'm learning from him is I'm just like, okay, there's something to him maintaining this insulin sensitivity, and just being so responsive to if you saw his diet, you'd be like, how the hell is he eating this, dude? It's
Yeah.
so much food. It is so much food. And he does roller coaster maintenance.
Hmm.
So he gets about 30,000 steps a day. So I've really been prescribing more steps to people,
Yeah.
and I'm learning that from his body. Um, and there's no, it's not rocket science, Devin, but like, just like I'm starting to correlate it, and then I started prescribing people steps higher,
Yep.
and sure enough, dude,
Mhm.
the response is there. So I'm like, okay, cool. It's the Dave Weiland effect is what I'm going to call it. But yeah, so super cool. Just learning a lot from him and his body and how he's responding to stuff. And the other thing that he does, he does a lot of like the ginger tea and just like
Mm.
taking care of, like, everything,
The little
we can
things, yeah.
we can all eat the food and do the stuff and take the gear and take the supplements. He does all the stuff in between
Yeah.
and focuses on the sleeping and, like, the little stuff that we were talking about earlier that,
Mhm.
AJ really is deep, deep, deep into. Listen, we call those the half percenters or the one percenters, but let's call them quarter, let's call them tenth of a percent, right? 0.10. Okay, let's call it add 10, 15, 20 of those up. Like, man, that's a lot of little extra things that add up to big things. So yeah, That's more that I'm learning from Dave too. But okay, you had your topic of 3 hacks, right?
Three, yeah, we'll make it kind of quick, but
Yeah, just quick
I
is
think
fine.
I think it'll be fun. So basically, it's just three hacks. This can be, anything from a training hack to a food hack. Whether it's saving money, whether it's saving time, whether it's just, anything few and far between. I will start out with my first one since the rage right now is cream of rice. This is something I've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, for anybody out there buying cream of rice, stop. And the only reason I say that is, I mean, it's getting wild. Like some of these brands are like 25, $35 for,
Mm,
I mean, it says 25 servings, but really, like, who's using one serving? It's two, three
yeah.
servings. So
No.
you're spending 30
Yeah.
bucks for what, really five to eight servings.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing, and in the past, I've always just used regular white rice, is just throw
Yeah.
it in a blender and blend it up. However, somebody had made mention to minute rice, and so I started using minute rice, and by the time the water is boiling, within about 2 minutes, you have ready to eat cream of rice, and it
Hmm.
blends very easily. It mixes just as easy as regular cream of rice.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's up, man? What are you getting? Oh, all right.
He's
I'm in
busy,
his
dude.
art
Leave him
room
alone.
slash
Yeah.
office. Hit it.
Exactly.
Hey, hit a pose real quick. Double bicep. Nope. Up top. Double bicep. There you
Front
go.
double. There we go. There it
Yeah.
is.
All
Look at
right.
that pro card right behind him too.
Yep. All right. Hurry it up, buddy. Make it quick. Go. Go, go.
Yeah, the cream of rice is funny, dude. That
It is, and I say all that. If you want it flavored, then get cinnamon or like feast mode flavor god. Like there's tons of places out there that have 10, hundreds of different flavors. Mix it in when you blend it up, but not only is it just as easy to eat, it cooks quicker. An entire box, like I think it's a five pound box of
yeah.
minute rice is like
Yeah.
$4 to $6, and it will
Yeah.
make you probably 1.5 bags of what you're spending $30 on.
Dude, throw a scoop of protein in
And I
there.
was gonna say, and if you put
You
protein in it
know, it's
anyway, who
like
cares? That's what everybody
yeah.
else does. Nobody eats plain cream of rice. You're putting
Yeah.
protein in. One
You
second.
know, you're good.
Runs in, then forgets to close the door. All right.
The other thing, Project AD, they make a product on Amazon. It's called Sweet and Glow,
Oh yeah.
and it's just like a sweetener, but it has like collagen in it.
Hmm.
So it's a beneficial way to sweeten your stuff. Like, yeah, stevia and stuff is fine. But the Sweet and Glow actually has like some collagen peptides and stuff in it too. So you might be getting a little extra benefit from that. And
So
then
why
like you
not?
said, the cinnamon, help with some insulin sensitivity and um even inflammation reduction, stuff like that. Lots of good benefits to cinnamon. So yeah, yeah, dude, cream of rice, man. Just get a coffee grinder on
Yep.
Amazon, get your box of minute rice. At one point I bought one of those plastic containers and I just
Hmm.
ground it all ahead of time,
Yep.
and then I had it in the plastic container and just scoop it out.
That's
So
exactly what I do. I either that or even just a Ziploc bag, and I keep the scoop in there. That's
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
that's my number one. I'll let you kick off the next one. I know I'm putting you on the spot, so because this was not something that we talked about before. This was just kind of a spur of the moment. Hey, this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, that's okay. My number 1, this is for prep, right? Competition prep.
Anything that just I say prep because we're kind of in that season. So yeah, we can lean it towards prep.
Maybe everyone's just gonna go like, "Duh," when I say this, but train your worst body part on the day where you have the most time. And it sounds like, "Oh, yeah, no kidding," but, like, no, like, it's not no kidding because, um, Saturday mornings, I create the most time for myself
Hmm.
to train my back. And it's one of my best workouts of the week, and it's one of my weaker body parts. And, um, it's just like find a day where you know that you might have even an extra 20, 30 minutes and move your weakest body part to that day.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know why it just clicked with me, but like I finished training back yesterday and I'm like, man, that was like my 12th bang on back workout. That was just like everything was just dialed. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what is to it? And I'm like, oh, well, it's Saturday. I have a little more time. I'm not rushing to work right
Yep.
away. Um, you know, stress a little low. I sleep probably half an hour more. And just yeah, it seems so stupidly obvious, but it wasn't, and it just dawned on me like, man, why I don't because before I would just train whatever day fell on whatever day, right? And I never
Mhm.
put any thought into it. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have done that a long time ago because I can take a little more time in between sets and just all the obvious stuff,
Yep.
but I won't beat it to death. But yeah, to me, it was just like an aha moment. Like, yeah, no kidding,
Yeah, I love it. We'll go. All right, we'll do this. We'll go four. We'll bounce back and forth. So that was
Yep.
number two. So number one's cream of rice. Two is train your worst body part on the days that you have the most time to train.
Yep.
I'll go with number three, and that is occupy your free time. I think, and especially in a prep setting, but even for lifestyle clients, I'm working with a client right now who just is a grazer, and we've talked about it, and she's starting to figure out she's not eating because she's hungry, she's eating because she's bored. In prep, when food is low, even when it's not, occupy your time. If you're not somebody that normally does the dishes or folds laundry, I'm sure your wife would or your significant other would
Sure.
appreciate a little bit of extra help around the house. So occupy your time. When I was in prep, like I wouldn't even let my wife in the kitchen. She, oh, I can do
Mhm.
that. No, 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 I got it. Because in the amount of time it took me to do the dishes, wipe down the counters, I'd make the kids lunches, it was already almost time to eat again. And she
Yes.
appreciates it because stuff was getting done. And I appreciate it because if I'm just sitting down watching TV, relaxing, I'm like, oh man, it's getting kind of hungry. Let me go drink some more water. It's just all of that. Like whether it's playing with your kids, whether it's taking your dog on a walk, like occupy your time. The less idle time you have, the better. So that would be, and again, it's kind of one of those duh things, but I think a lot of people just kind of live their life the way that they normally do. And if you are somebody who does get food focused or just in general, it's never a bad thing to, take on a little bit more and help out when and where you can. But that would be
Mhm.
my third. The third for this one would be occupy your time, preferably with something that is productive, because you're not only getting something done, it's putting you that much closer to either bedtime or the next meal time or whatever it is you have going on.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm like I just started prep like a few weeks ago, and so I'm like 24 weeks out, and
Mhm.
so I'm not like deep into it. But dude, I'm already so productive.
Yeah.
Like I'm already so productive. Just knowing that, um, and I'm dialed in year round, but just the
Okay.
thought of being in prep just like shifts things a little for me. And
Well, you
like,
can you can be a little bit looser in the off season,
sure,
where it's like for me, when I'm not prepping, I might just take my pills daily instead of putting them in my container for 2 weeks at a time. Um, but when I'm in prep or if I know I'm gonna have a busy week, you best believe like those pills are already they're all in their spots, so I can just pour them out, take them. I'm not taking them
yeah,
one by one like I can get away with, sometimes. So
yeah.
like you said, there's different levels. Even though you're already on top of it, just starting prep makes it that much more.
Yeah, when you're in prep, everything is prepped.
Hmm.
Your clothes, your whatever, everything is
Lists,
just
live and die by lists.
100%. Yeah. Um, I guess my fourth one for like a hack would be just really finding ways to keep stress low. And man, it's the hardest thing in the world.
Hmm.
It's the hardest thing in the world,
Especially
you
with a
know.
family.
with a family and, working multiple jobs and managing relationships of all kinds, um, just finding ways to catch yourself before things get out of control, right? When you feel that stress coming on, um, go take a walk or go do the dishes. Like
Mhm.
so okay, two or three would be occupying your free time, but four would be occupying that time to avoid stress, right?
Yeah. So
So
carving out time for stress management.
yeah, and whatever that may be. Man, nowadays I like the cold plunge. I used to hate it, but I've learned to like it because, I'll get in that thing and literally just feel everything just leave you, like
Yep.
instantly. And like I don't use it like some people's like someone said to me, yeah, the cold plunge is so silly. Why would you want to bring down inflammation? I said, well, I don't use it for inflammation. I really don't care about any of that. I literally use it for my brain. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not using it for my body, dude. I'll go get a massage if I want my body to feel good, which I also do. But um, yeah, I'll go get muscle work done for that type of recovery. But no, dude, this is for my brain because
Yeah.
nothing can just like put me in that zone like that thing does, or the sauna and things like that. Like
Mhm.
um, it's just a time for me to just sit with my own thoughts. And that's a scary concept for, someone like me who's just high anxiety, high stress all the time, is just sitting empty with your own thoughts is like the hardest thing to get good at when you're a high anxiety person. So yeah, finding ways to just get better at that and recognize stress, learning to dim down that stress level and um, finding ways to shift to that that parasympathetic nervous system. Your body's going to feel so much more refreshed and um, a lot of that stuff is another thing that AJ's huge on, and I do think it's been reflective on my physique. um, that's a huge shift that I've made. um, and like that's one of the biggest things I've changed since working with AJ is finding ways to recognize that. Like, oh, this thing is stressful. Let's not make it stressful. Let's catch this before this turns into
Absolutely.
something that you work yourself up over, and it's not necessary. The thing is, and I'll leave us at this, is your body doesn't know the difference between a hard workout, a fight with your partner, stressful work day, um, getting pissed off in traffic, you know, getting pissed off at someone walking slow in the grocery store. Your body just feels all of those things the same, right? It has the
Mhm.
same response. You can literally get in a fist fight with someone and it's going to feel the same exact way as if someone takes your parking spot at the gym, right?
Yep.
Your body has no idea what the difference is. And, so imagine you go do your hard workout, you're in prep, so you're dieting, and then you're supposed to be done with the workout and starting to calm down and just go on with your day. But then someone pisses you off. Okay, now you're back into workout mode.
Yep.
And then, okay, you got over it, but then you were late to a meal. And now you're like, oh God, I was 40 minutes late to this meal and my body's going to fall apart. You start stressing about that. So now you just did 5 workouts and it's only 12:30 in the afternoon. You got a long way to go before bedtime. You think you're going to fall asleep real good when you just did 5, 6 workouts and
Do.
then you go to lie down and all these things are racing past your mind like, yeah, dude. And then add that up over 20 weeks. And
Mhm.
that makes for a long prep, when you cannot turn off your brain and find ways to mitigate all those things.
Absolutely. I love it.
So,
That's a good one. So we got, yeah, I mean, that's spot on for off the cuff. So number one is make your own cream of rice, save a ton of money, save a
yeah.
ton of time. It takes a couple minutes to blend an entire box. It's really not much. Number two, train your weakest body part when you have the most amount of time. Number three, no idle time. Occupy any free time with productive uh, things that you can be doing. And to go along with that is number four, which is make sure that you're carving out time to have stress management techniques that you can get done. I love it. So next week, we'll get some Q&As. So make sure you guys leave us comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tommy, tell the people how they can reach out to you.
Yep, TommyJohnCoaching.com. You can inquire for coaching there. The Chase Science Discord, that's a big platform for me. And then Tommy John Coaching on Instagram. Let them know where you're at, Devon.
For sure. So nxtlevel-training.com. You can check the website out there. You can find me on Instagram at dgrow39, or you can shoot me an email at devon@nxtlevel-training.com. So that does it for another episode of Beyond the Bar with your host, Tommy John and Devon Grogans, and we will catch you guys next time.
Perfect.
Don't tell me that that did not. Oh, okay. Oh, I think you might have to end the recording now that you're the host.
Okay. Well, I'm going to add this while we're
Yeah,
still recording. If I
throw it on.
miss anyone about prepping and talking about your prep, I'm sorry. By this time of the day and the week, my brain is fried. So, all the check-ins are done, and if I missed anyone, I apologize. I promise I will spotlight you when your show comes and everything like that. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
just wanted to add that in.
And to his defense, I sprung this on him.
Yeah,
We actually did
Devin.
not have one planned today, and we jumped on kind of spur the moment. We have a few more planned out moving forward.
Yeah,
So we'll get to some other people as well.
yeah. Just wanted to mention that. So, thank you guys.
All right. All right, man. That was a good one.
Let's see if I. Oh, here we go. Um.
It should, because mine just shows record. It doesn't say stop recording.
Oh, how about the